Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where real stories heal real hearts. If you've ever felt that knife twist moment when someone you trusted most rips your world apart, then buckle up because today's story is going to hit different. This is Healing Through Words, the true feeling journey of a Chicago woman who lost everything in one text message, picked up a pen instead of revenge, and accidentally built an empire that's now helping millions heal. If you've ever journaled through pain, ever wondered if your broken heart could become someone else's medicine, smash that like button right now, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, drop I'm healing in the comments if you're in your own chapter right now, and let's dive straight in. Emily Harper turned 32 that spring and everyone said she had the life. She lived in a red brick row house on Armitage Avenue in Lincoln Park, the kind of place that shows up in real estate Instagram reels with ivy crawling up the facade, and a tiny backyard where golden retriever Buddy chased tennis balls until he collapsed in happy exhaustion. Mornings started with French press coffee and the smell of fresh bagels from the bakery 2 blocks down. Evenings ended with takeout Thai from sticky rice and Netflix documentaries about food or true crime. She worked as senior marketing director at Pulse, a fintech startup headquartered in the gleaming glass tower at 150 North Riverside Plaza, the one with the infinity pool nobody actually used because everyone was too busy closing funding rounds. Her husband Jack Thompson was the golden boy real estate agent everyone wanted, tall, easy smile, the guy who could sell you $1 million condo on the 57th floor, while making you feel like you were doing him a favor. They had met senior year at Evanston Township High School during a production of Grease. She was Rizzo, he was Kenickie, and the chemistry was so obvious the drama teacher gave them both standing ovations just for existing near each other. 14 years later they still finished each other's sentences, still did that cute thing where they ordered the same pizza toppings without discussing it, still posted those cringe but adorable anniversary reels with throwback photos and Ed Sheeran soundtracks to the outside world. And honestly, to Emily too, they were that couple. The one people tagged in relationship goals comments. The one that made single friends roll their eyes and say, "When is it my turn?" But perfection is fragile. By October 2024, small things had started piling up like unread notifications. Jack's phone was suddenly password protected in a way it never had been before. Late client dinners stretched past midnight more often. A new cologne appeared. Something sharp and expensive that didn't smell like him. Emily noticed but didn't want to notice. She told herself the housing market was brutal, commissions were down, stress was high. She buried the unease under work deadlines and spin class playlists. Then came the Friday that changed everything. She had left the office early to surprise him. Tickets to Hamilton at the Savassi Theater were burning a hole in her purse. She'd even booked a table at Girl and the Goat afterward because they hadn't done date night in months. Jack was already home, singing terribly in the shower. Some Springsteen song about glory days. His phone sat charging on the quartz island in the kitchen. It lit up. One preview line. "Miss you already. Can't wait for Napa next month. Red Heart S." Emily stared at it like it was written in another language. Her thumb hovered. She knew the passcode, their wedding date, June 15, 18. She typed it. The thread with Sarah W. Open like a wound. Months of messages. Hotel selfies. Heart emojis. You make me feel alive. Wish we didn't have to hide. Photos of them at a rooftop bar downtown, her hand on his thigh, his head thrown back laughing the way he used to laugh with Emily. Sarah was 26, blonde, worked as his transaction coordinator. The betrayal wasn't just physical. It was every lie stitched into their shared life. Emily stood frozen until the shower stopped. Jack walked out in a towel, saw her face, saw the phone, and the color drained from his cheeks. The fight lasted 3 hours. He cried, said it was a mistake, said he was lonely, said the pressure of providing for their future had broken something in him. She screamed that loneliness didn't give you permission to destroy someone else. Buddy hid under the dining table. By 2 a.m., Emily was throwing clothes into a duffel bag. She drove through empty streets to Sophia's walk-up in Wrigleyville. Sophia opened the door in sweatpants and a Cubs hoodie, took one look at Emily's swollen eyes, and pulled her inside without a word. They sat on the living room floor with a bottle of cheap Malbec and a half-eaten deep dish from Pequod's. Emily told the whole story between sobs. Sophia listened, then said the only thing that made sense. "You're not going to let this man rewrite who you are. Tomorrow you start writing it back." Emily's mother Patricia, retired high school English teacher, lifelong journaler, believer in the religion of words, had given her a thick leather notebook 2 birthdays earlier. Write the hard things, sweetheart. They lose power on the page. Emily had smiled politely and stored it in a drawer. That night, in Sophia's guest room with traffic rumbling past on Clark Street, she opened it for the first time. The first entry was messy, ink-smudged, furious. October 15, 2024. I hate him. I hate her. I hate myself most of all for not seeing it. 14 years and he threw it away for someone who probably thinks adulting is a personality trait. My chest feels like someone parked a car on it. I don't know how to breathe. I don't know who I am without us. She wrote until her hand cramped. She wrote the good memories, the way he proposed in front of Chagall's America windows at the Art Institute, the way they danced at their wedding under string lights in Grant Park, the lazy Sundays when they'd make pancakes and argue about whether real maple syrup was worth the price. Then she wrote the ugly ones, the nights he came home smelling like perfume that wasn't hers, the times he snapped at her for asking simple questions, the slow erosion of intimacy she had blamed on life getting busy. Page after page poured out. By dawn she had 13 pages. Her eyes burned but something inside her chest loosened just a fraction. The weeks that followed were brutal. Divorce lawyers, asset division, telling family, telling friends, telling HR she needed a week off. Jack moved into a sleek rental in River North. Buddy went back and forth like a shared child. Emily found a 1-bedroom in Andersonville. High ceilings, big windows, walking distance to the Swedish bakery where they made cardamom buns that tasted like comfort. She painted the walls sage green, bought second-hand bookshelves from Facebook Marketplace, hung fairy lights. She was building a life even if it felt like building with broken hands. Every night she wrote. Not just venting any more questions. What did I ignore? What did I need that I never asked for? What version of myself did I shrink to fit his story? She bought more journals when the first one filled. She read Brené Brown in the bathtub, Elizabeth Gilbert on the L train, Glennon Doyle while eating cereal at 2 a.m. She started therapy with Dr. Lauren Mitchell, a soft-spoken psychologist whose office overlooked the Chicago River and smelled faintly of lavender. Lauren taught her to name thoughts instead of believing them. He chose someone else he made a choice that had nothing to do with my value. Rage became grief, became clarity. By February the entries changed tone. Less about him, more about her. February 12, 2025. I ran 5 miles along the lakefront today. My legs burned but I didn't stop. I think that's the first time in years I've felt proud of my own body instead of wondering if it was enough for someone else. Small victories stack up. She started a private Instagram account just for journal snippets, black and white photos of open pages, blurred handwriting, captions like Day 89. Learning I am safe with myself. She didn't expect anyone to see it. Then a coworker found it, shared it, and suddenly strangers were commenting. This is saving me. I'm 3 months out from my divorce and your words feel like oxygen. The account grew to 4,000 followers in 6 weeks. In April she attended a weekend memoir workshop at the Newberry Library. The instructor, a published essayist named Claire, read one of Emily's anonymous submissions aloud. The room went quiet. Afterward 3 women approached her in tears. One said, I've never told anyone my story. Reading yours made me think maybe mine matters too. That night Emily couldn't sleep. She opened her laptop and started typing. Not just entries but chapters. The working title was simple. Healing Through Words. She wrote in coffee shops on Damon Avenue, in the quiet hour before dawn, on long flights when she took freelance marketing contracts to pay the bills. She wove science into the story, how expressive writing reduces cortisol, how narrative reframing rebuilds neural pathways, studies from James Pennebaker's lab at UT Austin. She quoted American voices she loved. Maya Angelou, Audre Lorde, Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. She included recipes that got her through her mom's chicken noodle soup, the chocolate chip cookies she baked when loneliness hit hardest. She described Chicago seasons as metaphors. Winter betrayal, spring tentative hope, summer fierce independence. By August the manuscript was 92,000 words. She queried agents the way people told her to, polite, professional, terrified. Rebecca Goldstein, a literary agent based in Brooklyn with a reputation for championing raw female stories, requested the full manuscript within 48 hours. 3 weeks later, Rebecca called. "This isn't just a memoir. This is medicine. Let's sell it." Simon & Schuster acquired it in a competitive auction that fall. The title stayed, Healing Through Words from Betrayal to Becoming. The cover was minimalist, ivory background, delicate gold handwriting, a single fountain pen lying across the title like an open promise. Publication date was set for September 2026. Launch week felt surreal. Emily stood in the window-lined event space at the bookseller in Lincoln Square. 300 chairs filled with readers, many clutching copies already dog-eared. She read the opening pages the night she found the messages, and her voice cracked only once. When she finished, the room erupted. People lined up for hours to tell her their stories. A woman in her 60s said, "My husband left 40 years ago. I never wrote it down. I think I'm going to start tonight." A 20-something man whispered, "I'm the one who cheated. Your book is making me face myself." Emily signed books until her hand shook. The book debuted at number 7 on the New York Times bestseller list. It caught fire on Book Talk Girls Filming POV. You're reading Healing Through Words at 2 a.m. and finally forgiving yourself. With soft piano covers of Taylor Swift's Evermore tracks. Podcast booked her back-to-back. Good Inside with Dr. Becky, We Can Do Hard Things with Glennon. Even a long-form interview on the Huberman Lab where Andrew asked detailed questions about the neuroscience of journaling. Sales crossed 150,000 copies in the first 3 months. Emily started traveling, speaking at women's retreats in Asheville, at libraries in Austin, at bookstores in Portland. She led workshops where strangers sat in circles and wrote their own first painful page. She watched women and men cry, laugh, hug people they'd met 30 minutes earlier. One workshop in Denver had a waiting list of 400. She hired a small team: a publicist, an assistant, a social media manager. The Healing Words Foundation launched nonprofit arm offering free journaling kits to domestic violence shelters, veterans groups, high school counselors. She never hated Jack. Not really. One rainy afternoon in early 2026, she wrote him a letter she never sent. "Thank you for breaking my heart. Forced me to find it." She burned it in the tiny fire pit in her new backyard. Same neighborhood, bigger place, room for a writing studio. Buddy was back full-time. Jack had moved to California with Sarah and their newborn. Emily felt a pang, then peace. She was no longer the woman waiting for someone to choose her. These days she wakes early, makes coffee, sits at the oak desk overlooking the garden. She still journals. Not because she has to, but because it's the truest relationship she's ever had. Sometimes Ethan, the kind-eyed editor she met at that first Newberry workshop, stays over. They cook together, argue about movies, walk Buddy along the river. It's gentle, unhurried. She's not rushing to call it anything. She's learned she's enough on her own. Last week a letter arrived from a reader in small-town Ohio. "Your book was on the library shelf next to mine when I decided I couldn't stay in my marriage another day. I took a photo of the page where you wrote, 'You are allowed to save yourself.' I keep it in my wallet. I'm 34 days free. Thank you for showing me words can be a door out." Emily cried reading it, then added it to the growing folder of reader letters she keeps in the top drawer. Every time doubt creeps in, imposter syndrome, fear the success is temporary, she opens that drawer. She knows now what her mother meant all those years ago. Words don't just heal the writer. They become bridges, lifelines, mirrors for people who think they're alone in the dark. And somewhere in Chicago tonight, another woman or man is picking up a pen for the first time, writing the sentence that starts everything. "My name is," and today my story changes. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. You're part of this story too. Drop in the comments. What's one sentence you would write if you started your own healing journal tonight? Share this with someone who needs it. Hit subscribe if you want more stories that remind you healing is possible. I'll see you in the next one. Keep writing. Keep healing. You've got this.